everyone, it's Beth. Sorry, I'm back in pyjamas, no makeup, messy hair. I want to apologise again for not posting. I am so bad at posting every week. Really bad at that. But you know, might be getting better and at least I'm filming now. Anyway, on to today's video. Hi guys! Yes, we're back to PJs and no makeup and messy hair Beth today. But I felt up to doing a video and I haven't in quite a while, so let's do it. So I thought I would do today's video on 5 things that I've learned since becoming a wheelchair user. So obviously I have ME and I use a wheelchair. I use an electric wheelchair, one of those cool motorised ones with a little joystick that moves you around.
It looks like this, and I call it Electra because it is electric.
But I thought I'd just do a little story about why I got my wheelchair. So in October of last year, I was in quite a bad place. I was in the house pretty much all the time. We'd go out of the house, but that would be to one shop, and then I'd have to get back in the car because I'd be so tired from walking. So in about October time, I got a wheelchair. It was about £100, which sounds like a lot of money, but compared to like electric wheelchairs, not that expensive. And it's called a transit wheelchair, so it doesn't have big wheels that you can self-propel, and it's not electric. Someone needs to push me in that one. It's pink, which
It's quite cool. It's pink and I call it Pinky, and it looks like this.
So I got that on about October, November I think, and that made such a huge difference to my quality of life. If I went out to a shop, I was able to go to other shops. I think we went to town. Like, there was a lot that I couldn't do before that I could do since getting my wheelchair. So in about February, yeah, it would have been February, I was still in the house a lot. I couldn't go out of the house without basically having my mum push me in my wheelchair. And I knew we were going to Disneyland soon, which I might talk about in another video, I'm not sure. And I was kind of thinking, how cool would it be if I had some independence of my own? So I was just thinking, I was really upset one night. I think I was probably upset because I have no independence, I can't see my friends. And I just thought how cool it would be if I had an electric wheelchair. So it was really late at night, so my mum was in bed, and she wasn't in bed, she was reading before she went to bed. And I kind of went in and she saw I was upset, and I just said, can I think about getting an electric wheelchair? Just as a thought, just to kind of look into it. And she said, well, yeah, sure. And that night I did a lot of Googling and not very much sleeping. And the next morning I kind of said, well, did you think about it? And she said, yeah, I did. I did think about it, and why don't we look into it by going to the wheelchair mobility shop today? So I was like, cool, let's do that. So we did, and we looked at a lot of different types of wheelchairs, like electric wheelchairs, mobility scooters. But one thing, we needed certain criteria for my wheelchair, so that I can move it by myself. And the main one was that it can fold up and is light enough to go into mum's car. Now, electric wheelchairs are really heavy. They're like crazy heavy. So the one we got was the only one that you could take the wheels off and take the battery. You can take the battery out of all of them, but it's the only one you could take the wheels off and then be light enough to fit into mum's car. And yeah, it was really expensive. It was. There's no getting around that. But the difference in quality of life it's given me is incredible. Just the little things, I can go to the post box by myself. I can go to the shop by myself. I can go to Asda by myself. It sounds like a little tiny thing, but when you've had no mobility or independence for over a year, it really is a big deal. And so when we went to Paris, it was great. I used my wheelchair. My mum didn't have to push me, and we had a great time. And, you know, I can go shopping with my friends now and things like that. I haven't actually done that, but, you know, I can if I want to. But anyway, I want to do the 5 things that I've learned. So the first thing is that people in general are going to be really nice to you. Like, if you say excuse me, they'll move out of the way straight away. They'll apologise, just be really nice, like, oh, I'm sorry, yes, sure, go through, and things like that. Generally, they're just really nice to you if you're in a wheelchair. The second thing, which is kind of annoying, is that they'll always talk to my mum or someone who's with me rather than me. So, for example, when we were in Paris, to get on some of the rides, they had to ask whether I was able to walk a little bit. But they'd always say it, you know, they'd say to my mum, can she walk? Or to my, like in French, obviously. Or to my brother, can she walk? Rather than asking me, can you walk? And that's just kind of annoying because it's like, I can talk, you know. There was one time I was in a shop in Cribbs Causeway in Cath Kidston, as you do. And the shops, I couldn't get in the shop very well because it was busy, so I just kind of found a little area and got what I wanted and asked my mum to go pay for it. And the shop assistant comes over and she just has a conversation with me. And I just thought it was so nice because so often by shop assistants and stuff like that, I'm just ignored because I'm the one in the wheelchair. They'll just ask mum. Number 3 is that in general, kids just, they understand. Often you get kind of weird stares from adults like, you can walk, why are you in a wheelchair? But with the little ones I coach, they're just super cool with it. Like, one of them just came up to me and she was, why are you in a wheelchair? And I said, oh, well, my legs are poorly. And she was like, oh, cool. End of conversation. There was one that wanted to know a little bit more, but still I just explained kind of what, I explained Emmy in a way that she could understand, in the fact that she said, why are you in a wheelchair? My legs are poorly. Why? Well, my whole body's poorly, and that makes my legs poorly. How come you're poorly? So I literally just said, well, to do things that you like to do, like running and jumping, doing cheerleading and walking, you need energy, and my body doesn't make that properly. And then from then on, she was just, like, totally cool with it. I think that kids are, like, a lot more trusting than adults. Like, when people say things like racism, ableism and sexism is learned, I completely agree with that because, in general, the kids that see me in a wheelchair, they want to know why, but then they're totally cool with it. Number 4. So this isn't for every wheelchair user, but for me, definitely. Obviously, I can move my legs and stand up and walk a little bit. But quite a lot of people will look at you quite weirdly when you do that because there's this misconception that everyone in a wheelchair is paralysed. I'm not paralysed. I can move my legs, I can walk, I can stand up. But people look at you quite weirdly if that happens. I think they might think, oh, she can walk, so she's faking it. I'm not faking it. I'm still disabled. I'm just lucky enough to be not completely paralysed, so I can walk a little bit. However, in contrast to that, people don't really care that much. Like, the first time I went out in a wheelchair, I was really worried that people would stare at me and things like that. But, like, the first person I met is someone I've known for a few years. She just treated me like it was totally normal to see me in a wheelchair. And in general, like, people aren't going to be looking at you getting up out of your wheelchair and going, ooh, she's faking it, ooh. Like, not everyone's going to care. Number 5, which is kind of linked, is for something that's happened to me, is that since I've been in a wheelchair, I've noticed that whenever I go out, there's a hell of a lot of people in wheelchairs. Just because you're in a wheelchair doesn't make you different from anyone else. There's a lot of people in wheelchairs for a lot of different reasons. I know they're not all old people. And, you know, there are a lot of old people in wheelchairs. But there's young people, girls, boys, teenagers, young adults, loads of people in wheelchairs. So, you know, you're not the only one. And to be fair, all of the negative things that people have said or have kind of looked at me in a weird way do not outweigh the fact that now I have my wheelchair, I have independence, and you know, nothing beats that. A lot of people take for granted the fact that at the age of 20 they can go have a walk to clear their head, they can walk the dog, they can go shopping, they can, you know, walk to the post box, just normal things that for a year and a half I couldn't do at all. You know, the fact that I can do these things is amazing. I used to hate going shopping because it would just exhaust me so much. Now I really enjoy shopping. Obviously not crazy amounts, but you know, I like going to like Cribs, which is a Marlborough store. When I was staying with my dad, we went shopping and it was great because I can do things. I can take part in life. Well, saying that I can take part in life a lot more, but I'm still not perfect. You know, I was talking to one of my friends and she said, "Oh, you're going to be able to do so much now you have a wheelchair." Yes, I can do so much more than I could, but I'm still nowhere near kind of the normal functioning kind of 20-year-old. But it's also given me a lot of help in my university interviews. So for 4 out of the 5 of them, I had my power chair, the electric one, which I call Electra because it's electric. And that meant that I was able to take part in the interviews a lot more. And not a single one of the people at the interviews like mentioned my chair in a negative way. It was great. And you know what? Having a wheelchair is the best thing that's happened to me since getting this illness. It really is. Because it has changed my life. It actually has. Anyway, just thought I'd do this little, you know, 5 wheelchair lessons kind of video. I just want to say, if you see someone in a wheelchair who is young, or you see someone get out of a wheelchair, probably not a miracle. They're probably not faking it. Maybe they have ME. Maybe they have something similar, which means they need a wheelchair, but they are not paralysed. Anyway, see you guys soon.